Alright, today I'm discussing why I love Ibanez guitars. Now I know it's easy to get caught up in hopes and dreams, and I say this coming off of the 2025 January release. It's easy to get caught up in expectations for new models, but I want to take a step back and talk about these instruments that we appreciate. And I think this is going to be healthy to do coming off that 2025 January release. I know we all had expectations and ideas of what might come out, and for a lot of people that did not align with what actually happened. Of course, who knows what Winter Nam will bring? Maybe there'll be something truly amazing, who knows? But another thing I want to talk about in this video too is mindset and enjoying things. And real quick, I gotta say I'm not endorsed or sponsored by any of the brands shown in this video. So I'm not sponsored by Ibanez, okay? So, guitars and expectations. With the unveiling of the 2025 models and the colors and all that, I know we were hoping for a lot. I was personally hoping for some prestige Ibanez S models and RGA models. I'm a huge fan of both of these. The RGA was my dream guitar as a teenager, just learning guitar. And the S model was my go-to for both band practice and playing live. I had an S470. Good times. I changed the pickups from the stock ones to the DiMarzio deactivators. Good stuff. And so don't get me wrong, I do love my RGA52ET, this thing right here, with its 27 frets, that's way cool. But I am a fan of the 24 frets, 2 humbuckers. I know this guitar has a middle single coil, but my favorite configuration is the 2 humbuckers. But I like the 24 frets, the 2 humbuckers prestige models. So I really wanted one of these with that configuration, and that didn't happen. And I think we're so invested in this brand because of the good experiences, the good times we've had, the growth we've had as musicians playing these guitars. I can remember the first time I truly nailed a solo live, not in the recording studio, not after 50 takes or whatever, but live in front of a sizable audience, sizable to me anyway. I was on stage, maybe there's an audience of 30, 40, maybe 50, the lights were low. But I had practiced my parts. This was the biggest stage I'd ever played. My friends were there, strangers were there, and I remember nailing the solo, and it just felt so good. And I was playing that S470. And of course, talking about recording too, I can remember the times where I was in a recording studio. I've been in 2 recording studios, and just nailing the parts, getting the rhythm the first take, or getting that lead line the first take. There were, of course, mistakes made too. I'm not perfect. I'm not a virtuoso by any means. I'm just some guy. But getting those certain takes the first time, or even now these days, recording stuff and getting things the first time, the second time, heck, even getting things the 5th time, it feels good. All that blood and sweat, maybe even tears. But with the Ibanez guitars, of course, I have other guitars too, but Ibanez are the guitars I play the most, again, not sponsored. We remember those times. These are experiences that shape us as musicians. And of course, talking to other musicians and sharing the common things we like, the guitar techniques we like, the styles of music we like, the guitar brands we like, be it Ibanez, maybe you're into Fender, Gibson, PRS, ESP. It's all good. These are tools for the trade. We're trying to craft music and have a good time. Whatever works for you, works for you. Stainless steel frets, nickel silver frets, locking tuners, etc. We're all trying to make music at the end of the day. In my personal experience, using Ibanez guitars has made me play the best and sound the best. Just for me, my hands, my playing style. Maybe for you it's different. Everyone's different. But I do have good memories of playing shows some time ago now with Ibanez guitars and recording in studios with Ibanez guitars. And all those songs I've recorded myself. Some of them with other brands of guitars, but many of them with Ibanez guitars. And a lot of those songs I'm proud of making. I've gone out into the world, both physically and metaphorically, and created music, as have you. And we use these guitars to make music, to get experienced in the world, in the music world, online, etc. Get experienced, as they say. In a way, the guitar we play becomes part of our identity. So this builds up our identity then to be a certain way based off of our experiences, based off of the music we've made. So then when we see brands, our favorite brand, starting to make guitars that maybe we wouldn't reach for. Maybe these guitars we wouldn't pick up. Maybe they're not what we're hoping for. Maybe they're not our dream guitar. Maybe they don't have all the specs we wish they had. For example, this guitar here, absolutely love it, but personally, I'm a fan of the stainless steel frets. I can see the appeal of the nickel silver frets, but this does have the latter. So I wasn't the most thrilled to see Prestige RGA. It does say Prestige on the headstock, but it was the Axe, the Axe Experimental Lab, and it came out with the nickel silver frets. I was pretty bummed at first. I was like, man, come on. So we see our favorite brands coming out with stuff we don't immediately identify with. We can have a certain reaction, to put it one way. And this can be for a number of reasons. Maybe this attacks that identity that we've built up in our minds. We have a brand we like, we have a certain kind of guitar we like, we have specifications we come to enjoy, and the brand we identify with the most releases guitars then with specifications that don't match this, specifications that we ourselves would not ask for. If we were making our signature guitar, if we were asking for a custom guitar, if we had access to that custom shop. And so that makes us, at the very least, give pause, give hesitation. At the very most, maybe get upset. This isn't what I asked for. This isn't what I was hoping for. And another take two, maybe we were hoping for a nice, decent guitar, a truly exceptional guitar, something special after saving up some money to get a present for ourselves. Maybe we have other responsibilities. We've got day jobs, we've got pets, we've got families, we've got children. We have social lives, social obligations, familial obligations, all kinds of other things going in our lives besides music. And we don't always have the luxury to sit down 2 hours a day, 12 hours a day, whatever hours a day, just to play music, noodle around on guitar, do the thing we enjoy. So after working hard and putting up with a lot of stuff, maybe we were hoping for something special to spend our money on, to enjoy in our limited spare time. And when the brand you either identify with or truly enjoy, like the most, think is the coolest, etc., comes out with some stuff you're not immediately itching to buy, like maybe you see this and you think, oh, that's not something I want to pick up. That's not something I would pick up and want to immediately purchase if I saw it in a store. You're going to feel a certain kind of way. So let's talk about mindset. And it's really important to think about your mindset as you go through life, as you think about things, look at things, experience things in the world. And I'm going to start off this conversation with, of course, it is natural, it's good to hope for things, to want for things in life. It's good to have desires and things you want to do. It's good to want to experience life to its fullest. And obviously, to experience music, to create music, you need an instrument to create music with. Of course, you could argue, yes, singing, your body is your instrument. Yes, but for guitarists, this discussion is scoped to guitar. The fact of the matter is, the fact of life is not everything can go the way we want it to. There's lots of factors at play, economic factors, there's historical sales numbers, there's logistics, there's market trends, all these kinds of things, which would lead to why certain models of guitar come into being and others don't. And we do have to accept, well, that's just life. So can you hope for something? Yes, that's fine. Can you get angry that what you were hoping for is not coming to pass? Maybe that's not the most healthy. They say if you shine a super bright flashlight, you're always going to find shadows wherever you look. If you're looking for shadows, you're going to find them. So what that can mean is if you're looking for something to be disappointed in, you're always going to find it. So what you need to do is look for the light, look for things to enjoy. So even if things maybe don't go exactly the way you want, you can still find the good in things. Maybe you were disappointed in the Ibanez 2025 release, but you can always see the good in things. The most obvious good is, yes, Ibanez is still a company, still releasing guitars. The guitars are awesome. They don't have horrendous specs, and the company hasn't gone out of business. So these are all very good things. And then, of course, because maybe the new things are different and new, maybe they're what you were hoping for, maybe not. The old things aren't bad. The things you were enjoying previously aren't any worse because something new comes out. My RG655 from 2013 isn't any worse because some new flashy models come out with stainless steel frets. This is still an amazing playing guitar that I've thoroughly enjoyed and clearly modified, had my good time with. Your favorite guitars aren't less good because new guitars come out. And another parallel with active pickups. Just because the Fishman-influenced moderns come out and they're very cool, they have a certain sound, that doesn't mean that the EMGs are any worse than they were. The EMGs are just as good as they were yesterday, as they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You can still make amazing music with those. The Ibanez Genesis isn't worse than the other Prestiges. Of course, it doesn't have the all-access neck joint, so that does make it different. You could say, okay, objectively, it isn't quite as good to hit those higher frets. Some people do like this neck joint better. So you could have a whole argument about that, but that's a different video. And yes, this is Road Flare red, but my key light right here makes it orange. I'm trying my best here to make it look Road Flare red. And tying it all together, we talked about active pickups and the guitars and all that, but this is passive pickups. The passive pickups aren't any worse than actives, just because active pickups might be newer technology or the new Fishmans can do backflips or whatever. You can still make lots of amazing music with quote-unquote older tech. An old Ibanez S540 from 1990 isn't any worse than it used to be in 1990, of course, unless you didn't maintain it. This one is kind of borked. I need to fix this one up. Maybe I should do a video series on fixing this one up. I don't know, let me know in the comments down below. But older spec guitars, older design guitars are just as good, I think, as they were back then. Granted, they're maintained, and you can still make lots of amazing music with them. Now, the newer spec guitars, they have the all-access neck joints, which personally I'm a fan of. They've got the stainless steel frets, again, I'm personally a fan of. They've got a lot of modern appointments, a lot of modern modifications and innovations, but at the core, it's a guitar. And I don't dislike the older stuff. I don't dislike the nickel silver frets. They're okay. They're usable. I don't mind them. But even moving the conversation past me, the older stuff is still good and usable. Maybe it's a product of marketing trying to get you to buy the newest thing that's pushing us to think, okay, maybe the older things are maybe not as good. The older things are obsolete. But what does it mean to be obsolete? Maybe you can make an argument with some parts of technology, some computers, etc. But with things like guitars, heck, you've got brands that are still harping the same stuff from the 50s, and people love it. And they make amazing music, they give amazing performances, all that jazz, or all that blues, with quote-unquote old tech. So I think you can look at new things and think, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, oh neat. And then you can go about your way enjoying the things that you always have. Or you can make the choice to see something different, something you weren't expecting or hoping for, and let it ruin your whole day. It is always good to either give constructive feedback or think of solutions. But these things do have to be constructive. It doesn't help anyone to just put out negativity and say what you dislike and not give any ways or means to improve or what you would like or what maybe people would like in general. Just being negative for negative sake isn't helpful, isn't healthy, isn't constructive. Of course, being positive for positive sake isn't healthy or good too. It's not good to ignore anything negative or anything that could be improved just to be falsely positive or to only be positive. There's two sides to every coin. There's two sides to life. There needs to be balance. So I think you should consider the new things and embrace them if you like them, but don't let that stop you from enjoying the things you currently enjoy. And don't be destructive, always be constructive. So let's go back to talking about the 2025 January release. There were a lot of things I wasn't thrilled about, of course, but there are a lot of things I thought were neat or were cool that I want to talk about. There was that Evertune model, the RGR52ET. That's really cool that they're putting more Evertune models out. I think the Evertune is a great tool. I do have some guitars with the Evertune. I found them very useful to use for recording, especially with the extended range guitars like the 7 strings. It really stops the pitch drift. Of course, it does give a different feel when playing. And of course, this is a 6-string guitar. But that's awesome. They're stepping more into this kind of niche. I know they have that one prestige model that does have the Evertune, and I was really eyeing that. Of course, with this model, I am biased. It does have the black with the gold because that is my favorite color scheme. You know, I've got the black with the gold hardware right here because, of course, my cat is black with yellow eyes. And, of course, I do love the S series. So while I'm not the biggest fan of that one odd multi-scale model, it was great seeing the SML721 MAM in that kind of blue burst or whatever they call it color. Great to see more models of that. Would have loved to see a prestige, but again, anything is better than nothing. And the Q series, I'm not the biggest fan personally of headless guitars. I don't actively dislike headless guitars or anyone who likes them, to each their own. I'm kind of indifferent about them, but it's great to see that this line exists, that the Q line exists. I would really hate to see Ibanez just stagnate and make the same models of guitar over and over again year after year, unlike certain other brands that shall go unnamed. And I think it's great that they're making more AZ guitars. Of course, it's not flooded with prestiges or made in Japans, but guitars at a lower price point means they're more accessible to more people, which means more guitars in more people's hands, which means more music, and that is always a good thing. The world should be filled with music. Guitars are for everyone. Music is for everyone. And I would absolutely love to see more music made by everyone in the world, by my subscribers, my audience, people who don't listen to me, etc. And I'm absolutely thrilled to see the new Genesis model, the RG565, both the desert yellow, which is amazing, and that blue, which at first I was like, okay, but that's because it was being overshadowed by that desert yellow. But then looking at it more and more, I'm like, okay, that's kind of neat. That's kind of cool. Super happy to see that line continue. Just awesome. And then speaking of the blue, that one RG, the RGR6BSP IPT, of course it rolls off the tongue, but that RG with the blue hardware and the blue pickups, that is cool to see too. It's not just the standard, okay, here's the black pickup covers and here's your gray guitar and whatever. They're actually making the hardware a different color. And you don't see that every day, especially for a slow-moving corporation. My goodness, that is cool to see. That is very neat. I would love to see more things like that, more colors available. I think we all would. Of course, don't get me wrong, black guitars with black hardware and active pickups. I'm a 2000s metal kid. I love that. It's my bread and butter. But it is nice to see variety. It is nice to express different moods, different colors, have different color palettes. Again, more guitars for more people. And then, of course, talking about black metal guitars, not black metal the genre, but black guitars for metal. You get it. The Ibanez guitars, the RGD and those RGs with the deactivator pickups. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Absolutely love those. Me in my 20s, that was what I was about. That is my favorite thing. That is amazing. Love to see it. And of course, I am primarily a guitarist. Clearly, obviously, you can see all these guitars behind me, but it is great to see all the options for bass. All those 4 strings, 5 strings, 6 strings, different models of bass, headless basses. Great time to see all these basses. Great time to be a bassist. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the bassists in the comments will tell me, oh my God, these basses, there's so many of them, but they have awful specs. I'm not 100% sure. I know mostly about guitars. I'm not an expert on basses. But from what I'm looking at, they look pretty cool. And I do love my BTB. And of course, seeing a 7-string acoustic, I'm a fan. That's awesome. I love extended range guitars. You know, 6 strings are always going to feel like home to me, but I do have a bunch of 7 strings and even a few 8 strings, so I can really appreciate and get a lot of mileage out of extended range guitars. They're very useful. So seeing a 7-string acoustic, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty tempted. So while I didn't get what I really wanted, I didn't get that Prestige RGA or those Prestige S models, I do like seeing what's coming out, and it was pretty neat to see what they've cooked up. So there you have it. Those are my follow-up thoughts on the Ibanez 2025 lineup for January. and my thoughts on mindset in general. What do you think? Do you share the same thoughts? Do you have different ideas? Be sure to leave them down in the comment section below. Of course, this is YouTube, so I have to say the YouTube things, okay? Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, print out every frame and mail it, join the Discord, become a channel member, look at the Patreon, stream my music, do a backflip, and as always, peace.